This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Good morning from Dublin, Ireland. Got a lovely bit of jet lag going on right now, 6:30 in the AM. Thought I'd take advantage and make a little bit of a different video today. Kind of an impromptu video that's inspired by a show that I watched on the flight over here to Dublin called Ripley. Over the last month or so, my father has insisted that I watch this limited series that's streaming on Netflix right now. He claimed multiple times that the cinematography will absolutely blow me away, and so I decided to take some time on the flight over here to watch this limited series on Netflix called Ripley. It is the first time I have ever watched a movie or TV show and been specifically inspired to take photographs. I've watched plenty of series in the past, plenty of movies in the past, and from a cinematography standpoint, from a filmmaking standpoint, I've been motivated and inspired to film videos and create moving images. But this is the first show I've ever watched that has really helped motivate me to go out and take photos. Before we begin, I got to give a shout out to Tatiana Hopper, who has already made a video breaking down Ripley from a photographer's standpoint. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out and check out her other work as well. She makes very mature and thought-provoking videos about movies and TV shows and just artists' work in general. And she does it all from a photographer's perspective. They're very interesting videos, so highly recommend going and checking out her work. The biggest thing that stands out with Ripley right off the bat is that it's shot entirely in black and white, which is something that you don't see a whole lot of these days. It's a show that's tailored towards a mature audience for sure. And I think it's a perfect example of when fantastic writing, incredible cinematography, quality sound design, and good directing fuse together to make a masterpiece. Usually when I watch pieces of content that are in black and white, whether that be YouTube videos, movies, or TV shows, I find that it can be a little bit distracting actually for me personally right off the bat. At the very least, it usually takes me a little while to get used to the fact that this is in black and white. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that throughout the 15 years that I've been interested in video and photo, I've pretty much always seen the world in color through my videos and through my photographs. I've dabbled in black and white photography a little bit, but I always end up resorting back to color, and I think that derives from the fear that I might miss something that could turn out really, really beautiful had I shot it in color. This show has helped me understand that if you go out to capture something, whether that be on video or photo, and you have the right intentionality behind it, you don't need to rely on color to help tell that story. One of the reasons why this black and white style works so well in Ripley, in my opinion, is that it complements the very cut and dry dialogue that's present throughout the show. This show was written and directed by Steven Zaillian, who also wrote Schindler's List, and it's very apparent to me after watching Ripley why the director and writer in this case made the deliberate decision to go with the black and white format. By doing so, they're essentially stripping away any distractions that might off-put a viewer from the core theme of this show, which is to take a deep dive into the identity, personality, and motives of the main character, Tom Ripley. The black and white format, in tandem with the outrageously good cinematography from DP Robert Elswit, works extremely well to force the viewer to fully dissect all of the characters in the show, their motives, their intentions, and the dialogue and mannerisms that these characters are using to suggest what those intentions really are. With my own photography, I can safely say that I never have really had a clear intention when using black and white film, in the rare cases that I have used black and white film. Usually it'll be because I want to shoot a portrait of somebody, and typically portraits look rather good on black and white film, or it'll be an overcast day and the colors just look rather dull anyway, so I'll put black and white film in my camera and take advantage of that scenario. Or I'm shooting midday and the sun's really harsh and the colors just might look weird and washed out, and that's totally fine to use black and white film for those situations. But after watching Ripley, it's really gotten me rethinking when and how I can use black and white film to better tell a story, or at least begin to evoke some different emotions from the viewer after they look at the photos that I've taken. Another unique element about this show that I absolutely love is the fact that it's not very busy, it's not very chaotic. They give the viewer time to breathe, and they do this by implementing pauses in dialogue and injecting these intimate close-up moments of simple, everyday, mundane gestures, whether that be the details of, writing a specific letter on a piece of paper with a fountain pen, or smoking a cigarette off the side of a boat. They just put in little speckles of these mundane gestures and everyday moments that I think really helps widen the gap between something that feels almost like a documentary and something that feels like a movie. And it makes whatever I'm watching that much more realistic, and I think that's only magnified by the fact that they've done all of these things in black and white. Now, it goes without saying that you can't just turn a color image black and white and expect it to be good. This is a strategy that I've used in my photography plenty of times. When I shoot a roll of color film out in the middle of the day and the colors look like shit, I'll just go, I'll turn it black and white, and now I have a usable image. That's something that I generally try to avoid doing. Sure, there's certain situations where it just works and it's not that big of a deal, but it's very apparent that in Ripley, there's a huge emphasis on great lighting and compositions that are motivated by this black and white format. So while I've always felt as though I give up this dynamic element when I choose to shoot on black and white film as opposed to color, after watching this show, it has completely made me rethink that, and it actually leads me to believe that there's a dynamic element that I'm missing out on by not shooting and composing my images in black and white more often. Now, obviously, as a primarily landscape photographer, I don't think I'd ever be able to give up shooting on color film. I think it's really, really hard to beat a proper, colorful landscape image. And for the majority of my work, I think I'll always prefer to use color, but after watching this show, I can safely say that I think there's many situations that I've missed out on by not shooting on black and white. And I highly encourage you to check out this show if you're remotely into cinematography, filmmaking, or photography. I think it is the highlight case study for the argument towards using black and white formats in certain situations that could really call for it. For me, Ripley has really driven home the fact that if I want to capture a more objective view of the world or the people in it, I think black and white is the way to go. All right, with all that nonsense being said, thanks for watching. Totally out of the norm video, but if you got something out of it, that's great. At the very least, I hope that it encouraged you to go check out this show because it's fantastic. Even if it's not as deep as I just made it seem, it's a show well worth watching. So appreciate you checking out the video. I'm gonna go shoot some black and white film and drink a Guinness in Dublin. So I guess it's a little early for that. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace. And lastly, I just want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is the best in the business when it comes to building a new website. Whether you're a photographer, artist, musician, or starting a new business, Squarespace has all the tools you need to get a professional website up and running. I recently hosted an entire online photography gallery that featured 100 photographers from around the world on my personal website, and that's all thanks to Squarespace. The website building interface is extremely intuitive and absolutely zero coding is necessary. They have a ton of fantastic templates to choose from, and from there you can begin to further customize the look and feel of your site to make it unique to you. On top of that, they have great e-commerce tools that let you keep track of orders, inventory, customers, offer memberships, and more. And with fantastic customer service, you're always in the clear if you ever need help along the way. If you'd like to receive 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain, head over to squarespace.com/Brae or use code Brae at checkout to do so.